Welcome to MANUU Knowledge Series. Today we are in conversation with the UGC Chairman Professor M. Jagadesh Kumar, and we will be today having a conversation on NEP 2020, its implementation and the way forward. Good afternoon, sir.
Namaste.
Namaste. NEP 2020 has been launched after almost a gap of 34 years, sir, and after a wide range of consultation with all stakeholders. It was termed as a game changer policy, and it envisages multiple reforms in the Indian education system. Could you please highlight the wide-ranging changes that have been initiated in our education system after it has taken shape of implementation, sir?
Right. So, NEP 2020 was launched in 2020 July, and it is little over 3 years now. During the initial period, there were a lot of queries and questions about the vision that we have laid out for ourselves, and there were wide-ranging consultations and meetings with the vice chancellors, faculty members, and during last couple of years we have been focusing on the implementation. So, wherever I go across the country, the heads of the institutions, faculty members, even students with whom I meet wherever I go, they are only talking about how fast can we implement the NEP 2020. Now, NEP 2020 is a vision document, and we need to extract the parts of this vision which can be operationalized, and we are doing that both in the school education and the higher education. So, in higher education, UGC during last 2 years, we brought about 40 reforms, and these reforms are announced either as regulations or as a framework or as guidelines. So, just to give you one example, recently we announced the National Credit Framework, and this framework provides you a broad outline within which every university can experiment, can innovate and design the curriculum so that our students will have 3 important components. One is freedom, flexibility, second one, and the third one is choices. So, for too long our Indian higher educational system has been deeply rooted in disciplinary boundaries, and time has come for us to remove those disciplinary boundaries and provide our students holistic and multidisciplinary education. And many of these reforms that we are implementing now, it is a kind of interface between academic governance and the digital technology, using which we want to provide as much mobility to the students to switch from discipline to discipline, institute to institute, and use the teaching learning processes in our pedagogy in such a way that our students will become critical thinkers, problem solvers and solution providers.
So, almost you have just told us what we should look for in future in our education system. Sir, NEP also has stressed on global perspectives of education, building, allowing foreign institutes to come into India and asking Indians to go out and making our citizens global citizens.
Right.
Sir, at UGC, what initiatives you are thinking of making this really become a reality, sir?
You see, our younger generation who are studying in the schools and colleges and universities, they are going to play a critical role in building future India. If you look at globally, there are many challenges. For example, the Ukraine Russia war that is going on, the Gaza trouble that we have, and the global supply chain disruptions that are there, and the disruptions that are happening in Red Sea. And also, if you look at the economic systems, they are becoming very unstable and there is growing inequality globally. These are the global challenges that we have. But if you look at nationally within our country, you find that irrespective of whatever fluctuations that are happening in the economic world, our Indian global system is very, very stable. And we also see that from the perspective of scientific and technological innovations, India is forging ahead. Look at the space technology. India is one of the strongest nations in the world which can build and put the rockets in the space, which can send a lunar lander, which can send a probe station to study the sun. So, lot of technological developments are happening. And if you look at the food security, India today has enough food to feed 80 crore people. Free of cost, these grains are given to a large number of people, and also ours is a very, very stable economy. And you have seen during G20 presidency how India conducted itself. India has emerged as a consensus builder on the global stage. And because 20% of the global population lives in India, whatever solutions we bring to find solutions to the challenges that we have, that will become a template for the rest of the world. And keeping that in mind, we need to transform our higher education so that our students not only will contribute in finding solutions to our own challenges, but on the global platform also, our Indians should be able to play a significant role in solving the problems. And from that perspective, we need to open our doors to the education which is imparted elsewhere. And all said and done, even though our educational system is rooted in rote learning and disciplinary boundaries and so on, it is one of the biggest educational system in the world. And it did produce a lot of good leaders, academic leaders and corporate leaders, political leaders and so on. However, since we have more than 300 million students now, and that number will increase to 500 million in the coming years, we need to prepare our educational system to meet the new challenges, because the younger generation which are getting into the university system, they are aspirational, they are not averse to taking risks, and they want to play leadership role in society. So, how do you transform our higher education so that these youngsters can fulfill their aspirations? And from that perspective, we are encouraging the foreign educational institutions to come and set up their campuses here, and we are also encouraging our own Indian institutions to go and set up campuses elsewhere, so that the best of our Indian education can also be can be given to the people outside the country. So, in both ways we are doing the internationalization of our higher education.
Yes, so we look forward to being part of global education sector and contributing to it. Sir, the focus on online and digital education you referred to is one of the important dimensions of NEP 2020.
Right.
And the one common problem which we face is the digital divide. So, we are having problems of giving these digital initiatives to everybody in the country.
Right.
So, what do you think we should do in future so that this digital divide can be reduced, sir?
You will be surprised to know that the younger people in the rural areas have greater access to broadband internet connection as compared to younger people in the urban areas. And today we have close to 850 million Indians who have access to broadband internet connection, and majority of them happen to be younger people. So, and then if you look at the ownership of the smartphones, majority of the owners of the smartphones are young people between 18 and 25. So, the access to digital technology is becoming better and better as we go by, and the internet connection is being available, the devices are being available at a lower cost, and electricity also, right. On an average across the country we have 20 hours of electricity available in every household. It may vary in some hilly areas, in some remote areas there may be lesser electricity, but then with the newer technologies that we are adopting, such as the recently announced rooftop solar panel scheme, every house will have electricity generated at their home. So, I see that in the coming years use of digital technology will increase exponentially, and access to digital resources will become much easier. So, therefore, we must introduce digital technology in education.
So, continuing this, we are, as you said, catering to the digital natives, but the people catering to them are digital immigrants. So, what do you think we should do some more initiatives so that the teaching faculty also gets more into these digital
acquainted
initiatives.
to using the digital technology,
Yes.
right? See, Indians are extremely good in adapting to changes. I myself, I never had a landline phone. I directly had the mobile phone. So, with the newer changes, rapid changes that are happening in digital technology and their adoption in education, I am sure our teachers are quite capable of absorbing these new changes. But what is required is to provide them proper training, to expose them to the newer technologies that are coming. And as part of this, UGC has undertaken this large scale training of 15 lakh teachers in higher education through Maulana Mission teacher training program. So, it is a simple 2-week online training program. It is a real time synchronous training. The teacher will be speaking in real time and the teachers will be exposed to all aspects of NEP, including the introduction of digital technology in the teaching learning processes. So, through you I would like to request all the teachers in MANUU and across the country to join in this Maulana Mission teacher training program and get benefited from it.
So, then the other focus is on digital education, online education and producing e-content in regional languages. So, what role do you foresee MANUU would have in this initiative, sir?
Definitely. We want to make sure that the digital content that is provided on SWAYAM and also the newly launched platform called SWAYAM Plus, we want to provide in at least 22 Indian languages, the scheduled list of languages, and MANUU can definitely provide a significant help there in producing the digital content in Urdu language. It is also one of the important languages which is spoken across the country. One of the reasons why we want to produce the digital content in Indian languages is that especially students who come from rural background, students who come from socio-economically weaker sections, students who are first generation learners, they find it extremely difficult to study in English. So, that is why their learning has to be in their own mother tongue, and Urdu is one of the important languages. At the same time, I also would like to underline that we do not want to neglect using English as a communication tool. The learning should happen in our mother tongue, but students simultaneously should also learn English as a communication tool, because just now you mentioned about becoming global citizens. You become a good learner and communicate with the global community in English language wherever it is required.
Yeah. Sir, another important thing is what initiatives UGC would be taking for making this multilingualism, multidisciplinarity reality, sir?
You see, multi-linguistic approach can come in several ways. For example, if students are studying in their own mother tongue, you do not have to keep them in a separate class. They can be along with the rest of the students, and in the classroom environment, let us say you know Telugu, Urdu and English, a student should be able to ask a question in any of the languages the student feels comfortable at. And similarly, we have written to all the universities that even though the students are studying in English medium, let them write in their own mother tongue their exams. Then the students will become more expressive and the learning outcomes also will increase. This inferiority complex about not being able to speak in English, we need to remove from our minds. That pride has to develop in our minds. Then multilingualism will come in our education. And then the multidisciplinarity. Multidisciplinarity, as you know, if divergent ideas come together, newer ideas are generated, meaning that when students study multidisciplinary subjects, their creative abilities will be enhanced. So, there are multiple ways in which you can introduce multidisciplinarity. For example, I have been telling all the vice chancellors, let us say when you carry out the admission at the UG level, a student comes and says, you know, my parents told me to study commerce, so I studied until 12th standard. Now I want to do chemistry. So, if I clear an entrance test such as CUET and demonstrate my competencies in chemistry, even though I have studied commerce until 12th standard, why can't I be permitted to join in BSc chemistry or BSc any other subject that I would like to study? This is the first step to introduce multidisciplinarity. A commerce student studying chemistry can do wonders. A physics student studying economics can do wonders because of the multidisciplinarity associated with it. And then we have also brought out the new National Higher Education Qualification Framework. And in this we are saying that irrespective of which discipline you study in your undergraduate program, you can join in any discipline in the master's program. Let us say I am a BTech in electrical engineering, I should be able to join MA in economics or MA in sociology. I am a BCom, I should be able to join in any discipline that I want to study, provided I clear an entrance exam and demonstrate my competency in that program. And then within the program, in the undergraduate program itself, now we have defined the credit framework. So, you can do 50% in a particular discipline in order to major in that particular area, and in the remaining 50% of the credits you can take to two completely different minors. If you are a physics student, you may take one minor in music, one minor in data analytics, or you may like to do the complete 50% some skill based courses, maybe some financial management or some web design, or you want to study transport logistics. So, the opportunities are immense for the students with the kind of flexibility that we have brought. So, in the coming years we expect that large number of students will actually become multidisciplinary scholars.
So, finally sir, looking forward as we go towards 2047, so what would you say education should contribute, or how we can contribute, and how we can make this dream of Viksit Bharat a reality?
Right. So, three major components are important when we are bringing in these reforms in higher education. One, we must ensure that our education is based on learning outcomes. It should be output based, not input based, right. So, learning outcomes should be our top priority. And two, we need to provide personalized education to the students, and this is where technology will come into very, very handy. In future, you will have many AI based applications. So, you have different levels of AI applications. One application may just teach just like any other teachers in the classroom, or another application may actually take feedback from the students and adjust the level of difficulty, and another app may actually involve many students on a single problem, and they are collectively as a team they are working. So, newer technologies are going to come to provide personalized education. And three, we need to impart this education on a mass scale because of the large number of students that we have. When you make high quality education accessible to a large number of students, what will happen is it will enhance the aggregate learning and competencies in the society. When the aggregate competencies go up, the aggregate productivity levels will go up. When that happens, our economic system will become stronger, and then we will be able to spend more in public education and make high quality education more accessible and affordable to our students. So, these are the three things we have to focus on: learning outcomes based education, personalized education, and education on a mass scale. And this is what we will be focusing on in the coming few years, so that the educational system is completely transformed, and the youngsters who are coming out of these educational institutions will function as catalysts for the development of our country and realize the Viksit Bharat by 2047.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, I think the job is, like we say, well begun is half done. We have really begun it well, and I would not be making an exaggerated statement if I say Government of India has found the right man in the right place to achieve the goals of NEP 2020 and lead India towards a Viksit Bharat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.